Well, good evening, all. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your financial market wrap-up on, wow, what a violent trade day for this Wednesday, the 6th of November, 2024. I have been up since 3 in the morning watching the event, so it's a long, long day for me, but exciting. I'm not tired either. That's the interesting part. But I haven't done my normal exercise, none of that today. You're just too busy watching markets, reading, coming up with ideas as to what to do. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is nothing. Now, you'll say, but I missed the stock market move. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, because I don't think you've missed the move. I think today was the prelude to how the market's going to go into the end of the year. But getting a 1,500-point rally in the Dow and holding on to it, one of the largest rallies that we've recently seen, not going to be the easiest thing. It could be done, but I'd be a bit cautious. If we look at bonds and notes, they continue to fall down, yields continue to climb, and tomorrow's an important day, and we'll come back to this. You have the Bank of England going to announce its monetary policy decision. They normally do it at noon London time, so adjust your time for that. The Federal Reserve at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time will come to the end of its two-day meeting, announce its monetary policy, and at 1:30 have the press conference that goes about 45 minutes. So be ready. A lot of questions are going to be about what's going on. The Fed cut its rates 50 points, and the market's just gone right back, repriced in, removed all that in the open market. What's the term rate doing versus the Fed short-term rates? Questions like that should be asked, and I think you'll get answers to them. Then we're going to get jobless claims coming out at 7:30. They're expected to be up slightly. Preliminary non-farm productivity data comes out at 7:30. Wholesale inventories and sales data at 9. Natural gas storage on at Thursday at 9:30. So we'll see where this all comes. But there's so much to digest, and I'm going to cover a lot of that tomorrow in one of my short 5-minute reports that'll be out on the website for one day, and then away it goes. And then I'm going to do a special report that'll be up for 3 days. So I've got my hands full tomorrow, but I'll either do the special report tomorrow or Friday. I haven't made up my mind which day I'm going to do it. I want to see what the Fed says to be certain as to what I say in my report and give you a projection of where I think we're going to go. But suffice to say that I've shown you over and over that markets after the election, you can wobble either way, up or down. You generally pull back a little bit in November and then begin a rally later on into the end of the year called the Santa Claus rally. I've been calling it the Santa Powell rally because I do believe the Fed's cutting interest rates, and that's the gift that Santa is giving us. When you look at the metal markets, they all got hit today, and they should have. The dollar rallies 166 points. Interest rates, the 10-year note goes to 4.35, and you think gold's going to stay up, just going okay. But if you look at the weekly chart in gold, it's still embedded and bullish. If you come back tomorrow and gain a little bit more, and you're already trying to do that in the silver, that could be interesting. A further decline, probably got to come out of the longer-term longs that you'd have there. But in futures, it's not where I'm looking. I told you I thought the GLD was more interesting than the gold futures. I still feel that, all right? And GLD is where that is held up, and that's the gold ETF. As we take a look at all this, we have to put into play Trump, taxes, growth for the economy, increased spending, his ideas on tariffs. It's all going to come into play. His idea on how to handle the war in Ukraine, what Israel's going to do. These are immediate. Of course, his own pardon, that's all going to happen one way or the other. And the government pursuing the president, that's going to be over because Democrats don't have the choice there, and he can pardon himself. I mean, it's that simple. Does that stop some of the civil cases? Of course not. But they have less credence at this point. Will we see the Democrats regroup and go after this president over his 4-year term? Well, probably not at the beginning, but probably towards the end of maybe the last 2 years. But right now, you just witnessed what we'll call a shellacking. America voted. The Democrats are out of tune with the cost of living, what Americans think of how this economy is being run at this point in time, our foreign policy, and that was the vote. I mean, any way you want to cut it. The pollsters thought this would be close. I'm shocked that I'm telling you today, absolutely, after all the polls that I read, that last night they were able to call the win. Aren't you? I mean, we were prepared for 2 or 3 days. Poll after poll was showing this thing a heated race within the margin of 2%, 3% error, flipping back and forth. And when the votes came in, this was one of the worst performances that the Democrats have recently done in modern time. That's simple. I don't blame Harris completely. I do think she would have been a terrible president. But I do blame the Democrats for how they did it, how Biden performed. I agree. He shouldn't have been president again. I just think this thing could have been done a year ago. It should have been looked at, not now. That's my take on it. All right. When we look at the S&P, again, the market's up, and you're up for the week 3.4%. It feels like a lot more, and that's because you're at an all-time high close if you're here. You're just shy already of the 6,000 level. Remember, we were talking about that, and I was explaining we started the year looking for 5,200, then 54, 56, then we jumped to 6,000. 58 was never a popular number that the market came out with, and for all purposes, you're knocking on that door. When you look at how this market came in, I mean, any way you want to cut it, today's a big surprise day. This market pattern wasn't calling for this to happen. This is the event. When you look, if I come back on this chart, and I'll prove my point to you, I can make an argument that you broke the pattern of lower highs and lower lows yesterday. Not today, not the 6th, but on the 5th. You had the higher high, lower low, and that is where I said I think the pros are probably taking their money off the table. Did I expect this type of move today? In a way. I told you it's going to be super volatile. I couldn't tell you how many points it was going to do. I told you as futures traders, brokerage clearing firms were raising margins, some doubling, some 50%. They saw that this could be a big event, and it was. Give the brokerage clearing firms absolutely their due. Their job was to try to protect the client as much as they can by increasing margins. Now their job should be to quickly take those margins back down and let the market get on. The idea of raising margins, and the exchange does this all the time and lowers them, is to, when the market gets too one-sided, slow the trading or get the trading out of there. Think of the cocoa margins that you've put in during that squeeze play. That's what goes on. Lower low, higher high. So where do you think this market should run into its first resistance? You can see her over the moving average. I don't have a trend. I have a market. Certainly I can see her at all-time highs, but a trend being higher highs, lower lows. I have a lower low and a higher high. Take a look at the Bollinger Band. Look where you stopped. You went right to that magic number, and that's where the market ran in. Where did the market stop on the decline? So if you can learn how to work with these, which I give you the basics here, but my trading course on the website is where you want to go do it for yourself so you can look at this and learn it. It's crucial, and you've got to tie it together, in my opinion. You don't have to do anything, but in my opinion, with the momentum, the way that I teach it in the stochastics. And these are not the same stochastic numbers you have. Look where you're at now and mine. I'll give you the formula if you become a subscriber of ours. If you can see this right here, you've got higher lows, higher highs. Same thing in the NASDAQ, low to high. So do I think this market's begging and saying, hey, I'm overbought, I'm at a resistance point? Yeah. Do I think you're going back under the low here? Or let's come back if I could. In the S&P down here, you should not. How's that for a pretty bold statement? I think you've got these lows now in place. I think you look back as a chartist and say, that's how I'm going to view it. Same thing in the Dow. You're up to the upper band. Would I tell you to buy into a Bollinger Band? You know I'm not going to. If you're a regular viewer, you know that isn't what I would do. And in the Russell, what the heck happened? Well, what happened is under Trump, there's a different viewpoint than under Biden, apparently. Do I think it's right? That's not what this is about. Apparently is the right word, because this market shot up dramatically. Just how dramatic did the market do it today? Well, let's take a look. Because this is a big move, nearly 6% in one day for the Russell. You don't get moves like that often in the Russell. It's hard. You can get big moves like you did here over time, but this incorporated most of that one day in what took here 1, 2, 3, 4 days from top to bottom, but it was a bigger move than the 6% here. Okay, but that's my point. They can happen, but getting it in one day, that's an awful big event. Are you over the Bollinger Band? Yes. Do I think this now becomes a base for the market? Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, I don't think you're going much under these lows. So I think the lows we just made in the past 3 to 5 days, all the stock indices are going to be the major support zone if it gets retested. In the bonds and notes, you know what I'm going to tell you. When you're embedded, the pros are selling rallies. If you don't agree with me, just look at what it does when these things go on. That's where you're at. Now, tomorrow you have another event. What if the Fed surprises and goes 50 basis points? That would catch the market off guard. What if the Fed says, no, with all that's going on, they don't see the need to cut interest rates right now? That could happen too. The market widely expects the 25 basis points. The Fed's game is to not surprise the market. Keep that in the back of your mind. In the dollar, up and over the upper Bollinger Band. Again, a market that exploded on this news. It has been overall in an uptrend. You had that correction you and I talked about this week. I said, you've now completed the correction when you lost the bullish embedded reading. It was the nearest moving average goal. You went there, and now you've taken off. Flip-flop it in the euro. You lost the bearish reading. The goal was the 18-day average. For extra measure, you went higher into the combination of the 200-day average and the Bollinger Band. I've been here. I said I think the pros are not holding on to long positions. And boy, was that a piece of timely news from me, as you dropped today 1.8%, a pretty big drop in that market. Now in the British pounds, be careful. You're coming into the support of 128.23 to the Bollinger Band. I think pros will start taking off some of their positions right there as they take another hard look at the market. That's what I'm expecting to see. In Bitcoin, we have a higher high, lower low into here. New all-time high. Why a new all-time high in Bitcoin? Because Donald Trump believes that America should be the home of this type of market, and he's pro digital currency. Away you go. He's pro what Tesla's doing. Need I say how many hundreds of millions, 130, 200 million did Musk give, all right? So he's going to be pro that. He's not going to punish these people. Bingo. Then we come to Brent and regular oil. So what happens here? Well, I don't know that this gets a bid or an offer. Here's what I think. I think Trump is pro-oil, but I think he wants to see production. I think he's tired of what Biden did with taking away America's interdependence on ourselves. We could have done even more. On the other hand, we are producing record amounts. That's not going to go away. The question is, are we going to produce even more? The question is, are we going to get some of these pipes working through the country, the Keystone, so on, again? Will they be resurrected under the 4 years? These are the things we look at. What about immigration? There's so much to be talked about, and I'm going to try to do that over the next 2 days for you. As I said, for sure tomorrow I'm going to do a 5-minute quickie, and I'm going to review my point of view on so much of what we've got in front of us. All right. When I take a look here, same thing in WTI. You had your rally, you're pulling back, you're fighting right through here, void of a trend, lower low, higher high, overbought. Heating oil, all right. This market's interesting. The market that's often very bearish at this time of year, and the one that I personally am telling clients I'm looking at, I want to find a way for them to be short, is in natural gas, but that's a different story. Maybe I'll do a special report on that for everybody right around the corner. So I advise you, if you haven't taken advantage of all the free offers that we have, it's so simple to do so. First, when you go to our website under free offers, the page will look like this. You'll see it. And then you scroll down on the page and you choose the offers you want. You click on select this offer. It goes into a card for you. At the bottom of it, you're able to put in your name, your email address. If you have a message for us, let us know, and we'll get stuff out to you basically in very, very short order. So take advantage. You can get the charts you see me using here. I keep talking about my subscriber videos. There's a way you can see them for free if you haven't seen them already. And there's a way on our website, of course. Once you're there, just go over and look at my research. They're right there for you to see. I'm Ira. Have yourself a great day. I am going to get tired. I am going to sleep a bit tonight, and I should be fresh for you first thing in the morning. Take care.